I'm Michelle Graves, your host on today's segment of The Power of Money. I'm glad to have you here. Now, at The Power of Money, we are interested in three things happening. First, we want you to get the necessary education so that you and your family can make the decisions that will impact positively on you in your financial life. The second thing is that you be empowered to prosper. I only want the best for you. And you can only get that if you have education and then the drive to make it happen. And the third thing that is so important to me is that you recognize that life is more than a journey and that you be energized so that you can begin to participate in the truly joyous experience of living. So, here's to empowerment. Here's to education, and here's to energy. I'm Michelle Graves, your host, Power of Money, and here we go. And here we go this morning, and what a beautiful morning it is in Dayton, Ohio. I'm your host, Michelle Graves. For the next hour, we have an amazing interview in recognition of Life Insurance Month, which is the month of September. And in my research and identifying companies that had a history and a track record of not only writing good business, but also being socially responsible, that's near and dear to my heart, where people are using their profits to do more than take care of stockholders, and that they're leveraging to do some very positive things for our country and for our people. And I bumped into a company that was so astounding to me that I rushed to get them on air and to be affiliated with them. I am an insurance licensed agent, have been for over 30 years. And again, this was a company I knew nothing about, but their reputation was so stellar. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Woman's Life Insurance Company, headquartered in Port Huron, Michigan. And today I'm going to be interviewing their regional director, a woman, Joy Collins, about this amazing company, looking at their history, what they do, what sets them apart amongst the competition, because you know there are a ton of people out here selling product, but majority of them are not selling care and love in terms of their profits. So again, without further ado, I'm going to begin the process of interviewing Joy Collins, who is Regional Director of Woman's Life Insurance Company in Port Huron, Michigan. Good morning, Joy.
Good morning, Michelle. Thank you.
I'm so honored and privileged to have you on set today to talk about this remarkable company in Michigan that has a national footprint and that it targets women in terms of its market. Can you give me a little bit of background about Woman's Life?
Absolutely. Love to. Bina West was our founder. You look back in Women in American History, and she was a school teacher, a 25-year-old school teacher back in the late 1800s. And she had two students. Their mother had passed away, and at that time, life insurance was not available to women. And when the mother passed away, the children left their education, left their home. The father could not care for them. He was busy doing working the fields and running his market, and the children were separated. They were actually sent off to two different homes. One worked on the farm, one worked in the home. So not only did the family get totally destroyed, it also ruined their possibility of further education. And with Bina being an educator, that was very important. So she had two loves. She had the love for education, but it was also the love for the family and protecting the family. And that's where the life insurance part came in. So in 1892, she founded Woman's Life. She borrowed $500 from a local merchant and got in her horse and buggy and began setting up woman's life.
That is such a remarkable story. Here we have a 25-year-old school teacher, educator, single
Right.
woman who looks at devastation that's caused by the death of the mother in the family and the separation of the children and the scattering and all of the repercussions from the woman dying. And this young woman, I tell you, I love young people. That's why I love them. I do. This
They,
25-year-old woman determined that she was going to start an insurance company
yep.
to
And
sell
again,
product. I
you have
mean,
to remember too, Michelle, this was about 19 years before women even had the right to vote. So
that's
she was,
astounding.
yeah,
19
she
years
was,
before they had the right to vote. And she starts an
yep.
insurance company
She starts a company.
for
Yep.
women. I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that. I read her
Well,
story, and I've since
yeah,
read more about her, and I can truly say to you that this woman was way ahead of her time, and that she had a
truly,
vision for not just women, but for families.
for families.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because when a
right,
wife, mother dies, and this still happens all the time today, as you know, she dies, and the children are out here. The husband is out here. And
right.
so many times they don't have insurance.
So many times. And when from 127 years ago, that philosophy, that idea has not changed. You've got to have the life insurance to maintain the family
You
when
do.
someone has passed away. Yeah.
So we,
Another little tidbit for her is after she started in October of 1892, by the end of the year, she had 320 members
mm,
of Woman's Life. By the end of her first year, she had 5,500 members of Woman's Life. And for our first 40 years, we just served women. Okay? We serve women. Now, we serve in 1931, we opened the doors to the entire family. So we serve men and women now. But at that time, the first 40 years of our existence, it was just women. She
and
was
that
she was
and you know what again
our house.
resonates with me is women weren't even allowed to vote when
Yeah,
she started doing
when she
this.
started. Right.
Women were not allowed to vote. That is amazing. So give me a little bit. So by the end of the year, if we can have the screen back up, gentlemen, thank you. By the end of the year, she had 5,500 women who actually had purchased insurance
Right.
for themselves. And that was through her own boots on the ground efforts to get women to see the value of insurance.
Absolutely. That was all her. Yep.
Can you elaborate, would you please, why is insurance so important to women?
Well, you've got two tiers of women. You have the married woman, and then you have, and all the responsibilities of that with children many times, homes, and then you have the single woman, and they also have the tier of children and maybe having the expense of a mortgage, cars, all of that. It's all part of life. But when a woman passes away and she's married, not only would she probably, the family loses her source of income if she works outside the home, and even if she works inside the home, there's a cost to that. And when that woman can't care for those children anymore, where does that money come from? Where does it come from? So that married woman has to deal with an income load or possibly caring for her children that she has left behind. The husband needs assistance. They might bring in daycare into their home, paying for mortgages, pay for expenses, keeping their lifestyle the same with or without that woman in the home. Then you have your single woman. My goodness, if something happens to her, where are her children going to to be? Or who are they going to be with? Who's going to care for them? Who's going to put them through school? All of those features, they're they're all the same, but when you have a married woman, she has the support of her husband. You have a single woman, totally different. She's on her own. And if she has children, it's her responsibility to make sure those children are cared for and financially stable.
I
So
like
they
I
each
like the
have
way you
their,
put that.
yeah,
I do. I think for those who are watching this show, we're interviewing Joy Collins, who's the Regional Director of Women's Life Insurance Company in Port Huron, Michigan. They have a history that spans over 100 years and extremely profitable, but their founder, a 25-year-old school teacher, started this company to address the needs of women who did not at that time have any way of buying life insurance. This is a profound story. And for women out here today, I continue to say that the more you know, the more you will have an appreciation for these
oh yeah,
visionaries who went out here and did way more than was required. Because I believe that she did not get married until late in life. Is that true, Miss
yeah. She
Collins?
was in her early 60s when she got married for the first time.
She was too busy doing what her purpose was.
Yes,
That's what she was about. And I think that's such an amazing story about where she was then and where we are today. And I would just venture to say, from my experience in working with women for so many, many years, and I wanted to find out what your thoughts were as well. It's very difficult to talk to women today in many situations, not all, to stress the importance of the need. Can you speak on that?
well, two things, I think. Women are very busy.
Oh,
Not that
yes.
men aren't. It's just that women are very busy. We're dealing with work, we're dealing with home, we're dealing with children. And now, in my situation, I'm also dealing with my mother who's 85. And so
Yes.
now we've got another plate that we're dealing with. So we have a lot of worries on our mind, when, of everything that we have to deal with. So not only does life insurance protect that family that we're trying to protect and the income that we're trying to protect, it also gives us this opportunity. There are busy people get things done, as we all know, and that is kind of where our lodge system comes into play, and that is our chapters. And our members can, if they wish, get involved with their chapters and give back to the community. That's the special part that separates us from a commercial organization. Being,
Can you talk about that? Because that's a huge difference. The fact that you have chapters that
that's
are
correct.
there to help financially women and children. Can you expound about on that?
Absolutely. So as you stated in your opening, we don't worry so much about the shareholders. We take care of our members. Our members are people who keep the society strong. So with that participation in the chapters, we as a society, when we bring in a premium, we don't pay a tax dollar to the government. We're exempt from that. All fraternals are, or community life insurers, as we like to call ourselves now.
Community life
Life
insurers.
insurers, yes.
Okay.
But in simple words, a fraternal does not pay that premium income tax to the government. We have to take that portion and we have to push that back out into our communities and also in our fraternal benefits. So we have our chapters doing good work, spreading that money out to the grassroots of people and other nonprofits who need our support. And then we also have available with our products, when you are the insured or if you're the annuitant, you have an annuity in your name, you also have what's called paternal benefits. And those are about a dozen different benefits that you have along with your product that you have, either life insurance or an annuity.
I understand. So you all are, Woman's Life is a fraternal benefit organization.
That's correct.
And that
We are
differ,
under the we are under the IRS code of a 501c8.
okay, a 501c8, and
Yes,
that allows you to not have to pay traditional taxes as a corporation, but as a fraternal benefit company.
that's correct. Yes,
And with those proceeds, you can use those monies to assist chapters. You have chapters all over the country.
yes.
And those chapters, are they autonomous?
Well, those chapters, there's about 100 of them.
You have about 100
countrywide.
chapters. Okay.
hmm And so we serve our own members, we serve individual people, and we serve other nonprofits who need our assistance.
That is amazing. I don't think people know this. I didn't.
Most
I didn't.
people don't know what a fraternal is or a community life insurer. They don't understand the difference between a commercial life insurer and a fraternal life insurer.
Well,
They don't.
I think I'm clear, at least in as much as when you look at all the other carriers who are commercial,
Right.
I mean, a large majority are commercial, which is they make profit, they pay their staff, their officers, and they pay their shareholders.
That is correct.
And with you, you all use a portion of those profits to push out to help your members and community organizations.
Correct.
A lot
So
of the
let's
focus
just
from what
let's
I
just
read is women.
Right. Most, yep. But we need the men are active also.
Okay.
They serve right along with the ladies. So, but most of the chapters are heavy into the ladies, into the women. But let's just talk about 2018. We had
Okay.
about 950 different social events. Oh, we're,
950?
countrywide.
Oh my goodness.
950, yes.
You're active.
We we gave we gave about 56,000 volunteer hours, over $600,000 of donated support for these individual families, individuals, and other nonprofits. So this is just one society. This is just Woman's Life. Think about the other 68 fraternal benefit societies we have in this country and the money that's given back out to needy people, families, and other nonprofits. I mean, fraternals are an amazing operation.
I would
Absolutely
definitely
amazing.
have to agree with you on that. And certainly from my perspective, I've heard of a few of them, but they don't, from what I've observed, they don't have the welfare on a direct basis of women and children in the manner that you all do.
Exactly. I mean, that was our primary focus for the first 40 years, like I said, and we did open the doors to men, but it's a beautiful niche because we started out as the Women's Benefit Association. When we first started in 1892, we were the Women's Benefit Association. In the mid 60s, we changed our name to the North American Benefit Association. And then about 30 years later after that, 1996, we changed our name to Women's Life Insurance Society. So we came back to where we started.
Good.
We want to make sure that the education and the process of getting life insurance and saving and protecting your families and saving for your retirement is there for women because we are a very unserved market. We
I
are very
totally
unserved.
agree.
Yep,
I'm so
and
serious, Joy. And I don't make any excuses for saying that I was so profoundly moved by the history of this company and the history of the founder, and how you all have poured money all over this country into assisting women and children. And oftentimes since our relationship commenced, I've asked women if given a choice between buying life insurance from a traditional carrier
Right.
and buying life insurance from a socially responsible carrier that helps women and children with profits, where would you go? And all of them said consistently, there is a company like that. And I
Right.
say, believe it or not,
Believe it
there
or not.
is.
Yes.
And they like, well, why don't we know? And I tell them, well, that's changing. You're going to know. Certainly, if you want to talk about your financials, because that's also important. You not only help women and children, but let's talk about some of these financials and how you all are doing in terms of stability.
Okay. Uh, our solvency is, my understanding, it's the third highest in the industry. So for every $100 of liability that we have, we can put another $10 and some change on top of that. So our solvency is very strong.
That is
Um,
amazing. Have you ever
it,
had any, from what you're based on your historicals, has there ever, because you all weathered the Great Depression.
yes, we have
you,
wars,
yeah,
depressions. Yep, yep, we've been through it all. 127 years of it. So
127 years. That, I guess I'm still just dumbfounded because,
well, we've been up in that Port Huron area forever, and I remember our conversation that you have your another organization that you deal with up in, is it Southfield?
yeah,
And you
Southfield,
said,
Michigan. Mm-hmm.
oh my gosh, you've been there the whole time, and I never heard of you, and you're so involved with women's education
Oh my gosh.
and working with them. This just fits you
I'm
very
telling you,
perfectly.
Joy, that is my life commitment.
I know it is.
Everybody
I
has
know.
their charge, but my charge has been empowering women in every area of their finance, whether they are U.S. based or globally based.
Yep.
Women have been, we've just not been treated properly and fairly as co-equals. And my commitment is to educate and to empower women so that they can be in control of their lives. We are the caretakers of our children, and this is not to discredit men, but the
No.
reality is that the training, the foundation, the core still rests on us. And now we find ourselves, as you know, taking
Yes.
care of our parents, our mothers. For those of you that are young women that have not walked this road yet, keep living, because after the children are grown, you will be taking care of somebody else.
Yes.
And
That's exactly what happened to me.
yeah,
Yep.
and it's unfortunate that men so many times do not step to the table in a touch, feel way. That's still on us, but because of that, it's is why I was so very, very committed to putting you all on television, because somebody needs to hear your story. I'm not kidding you. Somebody needs to be able to look at you all and see the history and know that you all are stable and that you all are committed to helping to empower women in the most critical area of their life, which
Very
is
much so.
their insurance. So what are some of the, and over the years and in your position, what have been some of the challenges that you have faced in terms of talking to women and men, but women about the need for life insurance?
What have I come across? Let's just talk about my presentations through the chapter system, because
Okay.
that's where I can get involved with many, many women at the same time, and men too. They're unaware. They're unaware. They think that, I think our biggest dilemma is, and because of the ease of it, is getting employer life insurance. They think that is the answer.
Okay, like
And
under the
that,
group plan with their employers.
exactly. They just fill
Okay.
out a form, check a box, and they pay a couple of bucks out of each paycheck. It's easy, and that's what they have time for. But it's the education of what happens when you leave that employer. What
Thank
happens
you.
if they downsize and you've lost that position? You've lost your coverage too. So they don't always realize that. And then if your health changes, you're in between jobs. Can you get independent life insurance? Well, it's a little bit more
It's a little
difficult
bit
at
more
that point.
difficult.
And so
Underwriting
I
is
think
underwriting.
underwriting is underwriting, and I think they forget. And I think that reminding them of their responsibility, yeah, you can have the free stuff or the inexpensive stuff at work, but you need to have the life insurance coverage independent from your employer also.
I
And I
think
think
that is
that's
such
probably the biggest,
that's
yeah,
such a good point, Joy, because on a national basis, I operated as a consultant. I still do with employers and their group benefits. And so I sit down
sure,
with so many, I mean, thousands of people, and there is a misnomer. Group life insurance is inexpensive and typically
sure,
does not require rigorous underwriting because, again, you're in a group. But the downside of that is that it's not portable. It's cheap. And
right.
many times
It's
it's free because as a
right,
part of the employer's group process, they will add that in if you work and you have a certain salary. But it's really
right,
important for women and men, but women especially, to know that it is rock cheap because the employer is paying for it most of the time. And
right.
it's not in the same increments. However, and this is the big however, if she leaves, it's over. It's over.
Yep,
I tell them you didn't pay for it in the beginning, and it's a benefit by the employer. They get the tax write-off. You get the
sure.
benefit if you die, but they already know, and it's in the pricing model, that you're going to leave.
Yep, more
And,
than likely.
and,
You're
and,
going to
and
leave.
that, I mean, and so you wind up out here with zero, I mean zero
Right.
dollars, and pray that you are insurable because stuff does happen.
It does.
It really, so how does the product pricing work? And we're not comparing group because group is not
No,
even fair. It's
no,
not
it's
fair. It's
not.
cheap. It's employer paid, and it's a product that when you walk away, you're done. So how do your products work?
Well, we have very affordable whole life products. They're amazing. Um, and I think a lot of people are, with the stock market the way it goes and all these other types of products that are out there, they're looking more for guarantees these days. We have whole life products that participate. We have participating whole life, which means we pay dividends. We always have. Our dividends guaranteed? No, they're not guaranteed, but we always have paid dividends. And so we have low death benefit amounts with our whole life. So we have our whole life package, which I think is awesome. Traditional whole life, the 20 pay, the limited paid up, universal life, single premium whole life, which is one of my favorites. But then we have also annuities on the other side. And we have term. Term is the cheapest, the least expensive of all. And then we have our annuities on that opposite side, the savings, the retirement planning part. But the life insurance, we have a full array of whole life products. And I think really that's what people are searching for now. They don't want to worry about changes in interest rates, changes in the stock market. They just want to know this is what my premium is going to be, and I'm okay with that. So it is a very affordable, consistent, stable product, is whole life.
Well, I think one of the things you should make mention of is that you can get life insurance for $10,000
Yep,
face amount.
yep. That is our lowest death benefit, and you can't get that in many, many, many
Oh, I can
organizations.
assure you, you're not going to, because they don't want the
They don't
business.
want it. They don't
They,
want
they
it.
do
And
not want to sell a $10,000 contract,
Yeah.
even
Hey,
though that may be what is needed for a young woman to get herself started,
right.
get
Even if you
something.
do, even if you do a combination of whole life and term, a little package. Because let's say this is a woman who has children and she has the mortgage or even rent. I mean, it doesn't matter. There's expenses and debt. So you have that base plan of whole life, and then you have that increased coverage with some term insurance, which is your least expensive. So you have the guarantees, you have the cash value buildup, you have the possibility of loaning money to yourself, okay, over here on the whole life side. And then you have your term product that gives you the true large death benefit for the least amount of premium because that's the least expensive. So it's a good combination idea to have a little of each.
I think it's a
So,
great idea. And the
yeah,
key thing for women, and perhaps men too, although men many times are the primary wage earner in a marriage, but for single women that have children especially,
right,
that is not optional. You have to be willing to put aside resources in the form of permanent protection to cover your children if something happens to you.
to you. That's right.
And
That's right.
things do happen to women every single day.
So what I get into many times with these chapter ladies, we talk about budgeting.
Okay,
Okay. You've got people who love that coffee that they drink, and they go and they purchase these specialty coffees every single day. So that's about
$5.
$4 or $5 a
Yep,
pop,
that's $4.95.
and so you do that every day for 5 days. Well, that's a nice little chunk of $100 a month right there.
Right.
That maybe you should just brew your coffee at home and take care of the matter at hand. I don't mean to be nasty, but
Yeah,
it's
but
you
when
don't
you
have to
think
have it
about
every
it,
day.
how are you going to
Yeah,
spend $5? Talking to you millennials, you
sure.
spend $5 every day. You got your banging car. You're paying outrageous gas
Right?
prices right now.
Sure.
That's happening.
Yep.
Maintenance, insurance, and you haven't even got into child care expenses,
Right.
maintaining your home or apartment, and it becomes intimidating. But
It
I do
does.
feel strongly that it starts with acknowledgement that you are the lead in the household if you're single and you have children. It's
You have
on
children.
you.
It's on you.
It's on you cannot look to anybody else to do you but you. And I do believe because of our society and the exposure to marketing efforts by so many companies that people feel they have to have stuff. And life insurance is
And
not stuff. Life
no.
insurance is like the foundation of a home. You don't
And that,
you don't contend about that.
and you're absolutely right. It is the foundation, but it isn't a tangible
Right,
foundation. And we do
right.
like stuff, don't we? We're Americans. We like stuff.
We like
And
stuff. We
and
do.
so
However, and nobody's going to tell you, you don't need that, except Michelle. But because I've just
maybe
seen,
me.
I'm not a young woman anymore. I've just seen so much over the years and how people blow themselves up and
Yeah,
leave their families in harm's way because they don't have a budget and therefore they don't have a guiding tool to take them from point A to point B. So you do
yeah.
get involved with working with them and getting their budgets together?
We talk about, insuring yourself. We talk about how we spend our money. We talk, and I would say those are the two most prominent conversation is budgeting and employer life insurance programs. And
Do,
then
do
why?
they
Why do
understand? Do they understand though that that's not their policy with
um,
the employer?
I think they do understand, but to say it out loud, and put it in the ideas that I say, if you ever leave, if you ever get terminated, if you ever downsize, that does not go with you. That is not yours. You're
Right.
renting it. You're
You're
renting it.
literally.
And so I think they just, it's so easy to sign up for it, and it
Yep.
is inexpensive, and I get that. And you should take advantage of all of that. That's a wonderful gift from your employer, but employers can change their minds
Well,
too, and they can
employers
even
given
take that benefit.
the
Sure.
Joy, it's the same thing with health insurance, which
Yep.
is under group. And the common question that's asked of me is, my gosh, my premiums on my medical have gone up. I can't afford it. And I said, interesting that you can't afford it, because neither can your employer. They
Yeah,
can't afford it
you're right.
either. So they're
Yep.
passing it on to you. And if you want health benefit, you have to pay. No different for life insurance. I think that it's back to understanding that we are responsible for our own lives, and that women have had to learn this in many cases in a hard way. They've been devoted wives, so many of them, and wind up ex-wives, and fighting over the little bit that they thought was going to be a lot more. And they
Right.
find themselves again trying to juggle so many roles and responsibilities. But this one thing I can say without any doubt, and that is that in America, and not just America, but all over the world, women that cross over and die, either through sickness or cancers, breast cancer is a big one, but so are heart conditions, and they leave their children and family unprepared for that outcome. That is, in my opinion, and I'm not saying it to be judging. The millennials don't go there with me. I'm not judging you, but I am telling you that in the area of wisdom and responsibility, that's a big fat hole. And with the Woman's Life product, they can get coverage for as little as $10,000. And it's not that expensive. I mean, even for older women, it's not, and I'm not trying to say that $10,000 is where you begin, but I'm saying that given that price point, you don't have an excuse. You really don't. You can sacrifice your coffees every day and do something for your children and yourself. Is that a fair statement?
That's a very fair statement. We don't want to leave a burden behind.
Thank you.
I
We
mean,
don't.
that's your final love statement. That's what I call it when I talk with people. It's your final love statement that says, I'm not able physically to be here to take care of you, but here is this promise of income and dollars to keep your life as stable as it can be without me. It's the final love statement.
Speaking of love
I don't,
statement, you all have
yeah,
a program that I liked, which was the
yeah,
Legacy of Love. Can you
legacy of
talk
love.
about that?
Absolutely. When we talk with our agents, I train them when a grandparent wants to purchase life insurance on their grandchild. We as grandparents, we love our babies, right? We love our grandchildren.
Yes, we do.
We'll do we'll do anything for them. And so it's kind of put on our shoulders that we want to take care of our grandchildren. We want to make sure that they're insured, because as they get older, they have a poor driving record, they start smoking cigarettes, their health changes, all that changes how that underwriting for life insurance is going to pan out for these little ones. So when they're young and they're healthy, it's a beautiful gift. So when the grandparent purchases life insurance for their grandchild, they are the payor, they're paying the premium. A birthday card is sent to the grandchild from the grandparent. It's actually an endorsed birthday card with their signature on it. And it is a gift of love saying, we purchased this for you. because we wanted to make sure that you had this coverage throughout your life. This is our legacy of love. This is what we wanted to provide for you.
How successful has
And
that program been?
oh, very successful. We sell a ton of legacy of love programs. And a little birthday card will go out. And this is what we're hoping it generates. You know, when you talk with an older person, someone who's in their 70s or 80s, and they have an old whole life dividend paying life insurance policy that was purchased by their parents or their grandparents, and they will not give it up. They will
No.
not give it up because it's
Memories.
sentimental to them. Absolutely.
Memories.
But
Memories.
nowadays, I'll tell you, if a parent ends up handing over that life insurance policy over to their children, making them the owner, making them responsible for paying the premium, I'll lay you dollars to donuts that within the first 90 days, that life insurance policy is gone and the cash is removed and it's over.
Right.
There's no value to younger people about, they just see a couple grand in there and they don't get it. They don't get it.
Well,
But
I know
what I'm
you're
hoping,
right. I know you're right.
and I'm hoping that this Legacy of Love program with this birthday card that comes every year, I know my little grandchildren, they receive it. I hope when they turn 22 that they'll go, you know what? Gigi and Papa bought this for me. I don't really know what it's about, but I'm keeping it. I hope
Right.
I hope it generates that some kind of sentimental value.
And not only sentimental, but joy. Children get sick too.
Yes, they do.
Children transition this earth too.
Yes, they do.
Their profile, in fact, today, and I say this because I was in a nursing facility a week or so ago, and about half the residents were young people. Young people, diabetes,
My.
obesity. I
Oh,
was
my.
so astounded, and drug problems. And they
Oh.
said these young people, were not going to make it. They were simply there living out their time. Now, the
Oh, my.
reason I bring that up is because me and the one administrator, I asked questions, and I said, I don't mean to be nosy, but one cannot quite figure out why this place is full of young people. And the older people were there, but I'd say maybe 70% of the population was young, under 40. And
Wow.
and she said to me that was one of the most powerful transitions she had witnessed in her 40 years in the industry, that there were young people that were coming into facilities with the health profile of 80-year-old people. And she said, it's so sorrowful. And so it brings me back to this issue of grandparents buying insurance on their grandkids, because
Yep.
things do happen. And it's, if you can get coverage while they're healthy to pay for these unpredicted occurrences,
Yep.
it can give the grandparent not only joy with the birthday cards and the memories, but practically, if a child does transition and there is no insurance, the burden is probably going to be on that grandparent.
On the grandparent or the parent themselves, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. Somebody's
so
going to write
when-
that check.
When I'm talking with the agents, I always tell them, you decide the product that you want, you add the guaranteed insurability option rider to it, so it can be a minimum of $10,000. It can go up to $25,000. So that means that the base plan is set, but it has a rider that will give them 6 more options to get more life insurance, no questions asked. Always add that. So that's what I train my agents to do, because they're going to get a standard issued contract, and they could have diabetes. As long as they can sign their name, it doesn't matter. So when you're purchasing these programs, make sure that you're looking ahead, looking to see how much more life insurance they can get, okay, without going through a physical. Because when they're young and healthy, they don't have to go through a physical anyway.
Isn't that something?
But you always add those riders to make sure that whatever could happen, they're eligible to get 6 more options of additional coverage with no questions asked.
I think the issue of insurability today is major. And I
Yes.
say that because obesity in this country is now considered okay. I mean, the whole issue of very large women, large men. And I tell them it may be okay for you, but the insurance company is not
Yeah.
blind. And if you are obese, you're going to have a tough time getting anything. Is that
Yeah.
a fair statement?
That is a fair statement. I mean, just look at, let's say, if you have a poor driving record, what happens to your auto insurance? You
Right,
either pay triple, quadruple the price, or you have to get just state mandated coverage because you can't afford anything else, because that's a mandated situation. You
right,
have to have auto insurance. But life insurance, that's not mandated. They don't have to give it to you.
right.
And so you have to qualify, you have to go through the underwriting. And that's where people also get a little upset because they think that they are healthy. And it's like, well, not to a life insurer, you're not, because that body weight weighs on the heart, on
It
your
does.
joint, everything. It affects everything. And that people, I think that's another issue that people get a little angry. No one likes to be told that they're heavy. No one likes to
No,
be
no,
told that.
no,
But
no.
if they think that an insurance company is going to buy a claim and insure them, that's just not the way it works. It's not
I
the way it
totally
works.
agree. I'm telling you, I stand in amazement. I had an epiphany again in that nursing home where the majority of the residents were young people.
Mm-hmm.
And they had been routed from the hospital to the facility because of their health condition. So, not to be arrogant or presumptuous, but I
Right.
think it's very, very important if you love your grandkids to go on and try to get them coverage through Woman's Life or
Yep.
whatever, but get something for those children because
Absolutely.
I see where this is going. I do. I see where it's going, and it's not going in a good place. So it would behoove all of us that have grandchildren to make sure that they have coverage, at
Yep.
least because they don't have to worry about underwriting
That's right.
and review of their health and lifestyle at an early. They're too young to be explorative. You know, their
That's
lives are
right.
very, very simple.
That's right.
So I love that Legacy of Love program for grandparents to buy insurance on their grandkids. And how expensive is that?
Well, it really depends on the death benefit and the product they've chosen. But let's just talk about a standard traditional. I mean, you've got a 6-year-old child, and you might be looking at, for $10,000, you might be looking at $7 a month
Seven
for them to
dollars
be,
a month.
yeah, $10
Jeez,
with that GIO, with the guaranteed insurability option rider on there might be $10 a month. So, I mean, it's
ten
nothing.
bucks a month.
Yeah,
Really?
really.
I, I'm not saying that sarcastic. I'm just saying that if you can't pay
There,
$10 a month
yeah,
for your grandchild, I don't even know. Why do Christmas? How much you spend on Christmas? I
exactly.
mean, really is, I mean, but yet that is not a consideration.
I have a 20 pay, if I may say. I have a
Y-
20 pay whole life, meaning I pay on it for 20 years. Whole life product on each of my 2 grandchildren. It's just over $200 a year. It has the GIO rider on it, which is the guaranteed insurability option
Yes.
rider. So I know I'll get those 6 more options. I don't have to take each option, but it's available to me to do that. And I'm paying just over $200 a year, and I think it's 25,000 I have on each
And that's
kid,
permanent protection?
permanent. Yep.
My goodness. And they have
Yep.
cash value in it so that they can
They'll
take
have
money
cash
if they need
value.
money for college or other things. There is
Exactly.
money available.
That's correct.
I
Now,
mean,
is there going to be a truckload of money? 50 grand? No. But it
no.
could loan them the money to maybe buy their books.
Yep.
Books are very expensive. So
They
they could loan
definitely
that
are a
out and
couple of
repay it.
grand.
Yep. So
Yep.
there's cash there to use. Absolutely.
Well, I
Yep.
think that is a takeaway from today's interview. And the other takeaway is the fact that you can get smaller face amounts than traditional carriers. Another takeaway is that this is a socially responsible company, insurance carrier, with a agenda to help women work with other nonprofits. They're a fraternal organization, which simply means that they have been protected by IRS in terms of the treatment of their dollars. That's powerful. And as a final note, they just wring my heart. They do. And I believe, and I told you this, Joy, I said, now
Yep.
that I found you all, I'm not going anywhere because that was amazing
Yeah.
to be able to find.
It's a wonderful story. And you know what I tell my agents when you work with us, work with the fraternal, you are providing a service, providing the protection for the family, retirement ideas and programs. You can help your community just by getting involved with the chapters or just by paying the premium. You know your premium dollars are going back to help somebody else.
I think
And
that
that
is just so powerful.
it is.
It
It
really,
is. I
really
think
is,
it's
Joy.
wonderful to be an
I
agent.
appreciate this interview today, and you're talking about it. How can they find you all? They can find you all on Facebook. They can find you
Twitter,
all
yep, all over www.womanslife.org is our
org.
website.
Okay. I appreciate your time today. I'm looking forward to great things next year. The word is going to get out. You all are not going to stay hidden in Port Huron, Michigan. That's absolutely ridiculous. Really now, although it's a beautiful part of the country.
It is
It
beautiful. We're
is.
looking forward to it.
I know. So I thank you so much, and I appreciate the time you've given us out of your very busy schedule. Blessings to your mother for her healing, and again, tell your peers at Woman's Life that they rock.
I will tell them.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your
Thank you,
time.
Michelle.
And for those of us who've been listening in on Joy, I appreciate your time today. And we're closing out on today's segment of The Power of Money with your host, Michelle Graves, interviewing Joy Collins, who is a senior director at Woman's Life Insurance Company, the only woman's-owned company in the United States with a history of over 100 years of paying claims and taking care of women and children. Awesome story in the turbulent times we're in today. This is a feel-good story. You all have a great day. I've appreciated the opportunity to share with you and to talk with this remarkable woman. God bless all of you today, and you take care. Michelle Graves, wishing you a wonderful day, and be blessed. Bye-bye.